And welcome once again, United in Liberty Radio. Dustin Harris here with Joe Olivas on the morning after, Joe. It's kind of Christmas time right now, isn't it? A little bit of celebration going on as conservatives take back over the House of Representatives. Are you excited? Are you let down? What's your feelings, Joe?
No, I think things are great. It's a great record for, or a great indication for where the country is wanting to head, the direction that we were wanting to go back to, smaller government. It's Christmas time not only for those who have spent the last day and a half, if you will, just kind of tracking everything. Still a couple results still kind of out, but we'll get to those soon enough. But with all of that that's been taking place, I mean, you look at the effects that it's already starting to have on things like the economy. There were individuals who were excited about what was going on at the office this morning, and after speaking with them, I knew they really didn't know what was going on. They were just excited that something was going on.
Something happened. They weren't sure what it was.
Yeah, they were a little more excited today when they got up, and the individuals that I'm speaking about directly, aren't really politically minded. In fact, I had a couple individuals that apologized to me for not voting, and
they apologized to you,
to me, yeah. Like if I had
little repentance to Joe. Huh?
Yeah, so I actually talked to one of them and said, look, that's fine if you didn't vote. It's up to you. I just don't want to hear you complain for the next little while.
Yeah, you are banned, right?
So go sit in the back of the bus. Oh, wait a minute. That was Obama's line.
Yeah. Speaking, you talk a little bit about the economy. We both talked a little bit about Christmas time. Speaking of which, Christmas time is coming, Joe. I think I've picked out my present. Thought I'd just let you know what I want.
Okay.
I don't know if you heard about this or not, but speaking of the economy, are you in search of a small bearded toy that reminds and reaffirms you that the rent is too damn high? Well, you are in luck, Joe. The Oxford-based toy company Hero Builders has created an action figure based on the feisty Saturday Night Live charactering? Is that a word? I think they made that up.
You could do that when you write. For,
gubernatorial candidate Jimmy McMillan. You like that, Joe? There's a picture. There's a picture of the action figure.
It would have been better if they did a bobblehead. That would have been better.
It would have been true to life. I think
that does look pretty funny.
But how did he turn out? By the way, I didn't hear the results on that race. I'm assuming that the reason I didn't hear the results, it probably would have been big news if he had won.
Yeah, if
I'm assuming he didn't.
There was let's see, X number of Democrats, couple independents, couple Republicans. I think we would have heard if there was a rent is too damn high party.
Well, the nice thing about this, action figure, I think it's $29.95 for the still version, but there is a talking version as well, $39.95, and you'll never guess what it's.
Hold on now, shouldn't the talking version be less?
Oh yeah, good point.
Because what is he going to say? It's too damn high. The price is too damn high. You don't want to have buyer's remorse immediately after you open up the box and say, "Oh yeah, I overpaid."
Good point.
That's funny.
They need to rethink that, I think.
Hold on.
These capitalists are making too damn much money on this action figure.
Wow. Yeah, bobblehead would have been.
I agree. Joe, front page Drudge Report right now. Very top headline: Republicans vow to roll back Obama agenda. In a completely unrelated article, right underneath it, stocks climbed to the highest in 2 years today.
Unrelated.
Yeah,
because that's consequence, right? Principles govern, and so
and money talks. I mean, when you see the money moving around America like you saw the money moving around today, I mean, tell me that the entrepreneurs across America are not finally sighing, whew, a big sigh of relief and saying, okay, I've got a little bit more freedom to move forward with my ideas.
Yeah, it's pointing to a little bit more stability in the fact that not because anything changed overnight policy-wise, but the idea that you have a much more conservative Congress, the idea that the conservative Congress is going to advocate for lower taxes, smaller government, less regulation. It's more free market based. It's more entrepreneurial based. It's more job creating based, not government creating jobs, but the private sector creating jobs. That gives a little bit more security in the minds of investors and those that are in the stock market. That's what you want. You want your principal to be as safe as possible. You want to be able to earn as much as you can and be able to, again, protect your principal. But at the same time, I think earlier this afternoon, though, I was reading that Bernanke wants to, another $500 billion. It looks like he wants to go ahead and start buying some more debt. So,
well, inflation's always good for the economy.
Well, you make a lot more money in the market because you recognize the type of individuals you now have in Congress and what they advocate and what that's going to say for you. And so, in order to go ahead and continue with the agenda of turning the country into a much more socialistic state, then you want to devalue the dollar, devalue the currency a little bit more. And so, it's no consequence that the Fed wants to go ahead and jump in and spend some more money.
Well, and I've got a little bit of a different take on why the stock market rose today. I think as a business owner, I think that one of the huge things, one of the hurdles that gets in the way of creation, and not only creation of the mind, but creation of the hands. In other words, everything's created spiritually before it's created physically. In other words, we've got to create it in our mind, mentally, before we can actually physically create this thing, right? There's got to be a blueprint first. I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs across the country who have these things going on in their head saying, I'd like to move in this direction, or I want to create this product, or maybe it's not so much a creation or an invention so much as it's just, I want to move my business in this direction. And there has been a huge holdback. There has been a huge waiting game, if you will, because people don't want to move forward and take the risk involved because they don't know what's going to happen. In other words, you can take this step, or in a lot of ways, usually when a business takes a step, it's not one huge step. It's a lot of little steps that move a company in a direction, or maybe it's a startup company or what have you. But it always costs time, and time always is money when we're talking about business. And really, it comes down to the bottom line in business. Why in the world would a CEO, would an entrepreneur, would an inventor, would a manager even move in a direction when there's so many unknowns when it comes to the economy, but specifically when it comes to the government and their quote-unquote control over the economy? I don't think in this sense it's so much that they're saying, okay, we can now see lower taxes, we can now see the health care being reversed, we can now see things moving in our direction. My take is this. Because of the way things turned out last night, I think that most businessmen at this point are saying, I can move forward because I know that the government's at a standstill right now. They can't move anywhere.
Yeah, that's a good point, Dustin. I see both arguments, and I think there's something to both of them, and I think it's just something that you have individuals now that decided it's time to be able to move forward. I can trust that I can move forward. Beforehand, investors or individuals that were in the stock market, they without the level of certainty that many of them are experiencing now. It was just gambling, and that's really what it is when you're putting money into the stock market and you're just hoping that you make money, that your principal grows and your investment grows. But if you don't have any type of system or direction to go ahead and move forward in, you're just hoping things work out. And now that the country has a direction again, it had one before, but it was in the opposite,
the wrong direction,
the complete opposite direction that it's looking to head now. There's a lot of indicators there that people are now starting to recognize. Those that have been elected and those who are now in power, in Congress, are going to be able
Which
to.
is power.
It is to a degree, but ultimately we got to recognize the fact that power ultimately rests with the people. I mean, the Republicans and the conservatives wouldn't have had the gains they had without the individuals getting.